financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Good morning and welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is misery, disability, and credit card debt. Speaking of misery, good morning, Brian Small.
Good morning, Ken. And what an interesting combination of words. Misery, disability, and credit card debt. I don't think we could find a more depressing name for a show if we tried.
I'm sure we could. Jeffrey Linden, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. Happy to be here.
Jeffrey Kirshner.
Happy to be here, I guess, with misery, I guess.
Well, they say misery loves company.
Well, I'm happy to be with you guys being miserable.
All right, so my first question for you guys is, can the anxiety over debt problems result in a disability and a disability claim? But before I do that, I have to ask you, Jeffrey, what is going on in the disability Social Security world relative to the changes that are taking place on the federal level? Are these cutbacks going to have the impact of slowing the process that we've talked about a lot on the show, that the process of going about getting that disability claim approved had been shortened for a while? Do you see it now becoming a lengthy process due to a lack of manpower?
Well, I'm going to give an imitation of my favorite emoji on my phone.
Who knows? That's pretty good.
Thank you. I can also do.
Can you do that again? No. So, what do you think?
here's the deal. Nothing as good is coming out of this, at least right now, with regard to Social Security. I know the premise of cutting government, cutting the fat out of government, which theoretically, okay, if you're cutting fat out of it, great. But it's very haphazard. We don't know. And what's even worse is the fear of the unknown. And right now, they had first talked about cutting half the staff, which isn't true. But what is true is they're cutting at least 7,000 workers countrywide. And what the problem is a lot of it is going to be people at the local offices. And the people at the local offices are really the engine behind everything else. When I'm in court, I'm with the judge, but it's already been through the local offices, through some of the federal offices, the people who are doing a lot of the grunt work, getting the records together, making the phone calls, talking to people who have problems, getting their benefits or changing their amount.
So a lot of the manpower in Social Security relates to the processing of claims?
Correct. So when you hear the cuts, most of the cuts really they're focusing are all these local offices throughout the country. The local offices are what people are the lifeblood of what people depend upon to get information when they have problems with their benefits, when they're trying to get their kids on benefits, when they're trying to work on other health insurance.
Yeah, I can give you an example. I had to process my Social Security, I did it all online and got it approved, and I did that for my wife as well a couple years actually earlier because I waited to 70 to collect. Once I started collecting, though, I had to then shift her so that her benefit would go up, so she wasn't collecting on her benefit, she'd collect based upon half of mine. I couldn't do that online. So when I went online, I called an 800 number, and then they actually switched me to the local office, and then the local office said, we'll schedule you for an appointment on the phone, we'll call you back, which happened in 2 days. A woman called me from the local office, and in 20 minutes on the phone with my wife, the whole thing was taken care of. So I was actually extremely impressed by the efficiency.
So if you're applying for Social Security disability, just pure Social Security disability, you can still do that online. But if you want to add an SSI component, you can't just do it online. And more importantly, for all those people who are just applying for SSI, for people who have less than, if you're single, $2,000 in assets, if you're married, less than $3,000 in assets, you can't even start the process online. You have to go to a local office, and that's going to...
But isn't this the whole point? Between cutting staffing, so to cut the fat, so to speak. Now you've just made it really hard for the people that are getting the free government benefits. So
Well, wait a second.
Do you want me to come over
you-
across
no,
this
no,
desk
no.
and get
No,
angry
no,
with you
no.
when you say
What I'm
that?
saying, what I'm
Are
saying
you
is
saying
that
are you saying
this-
SSI is a free government benefit, or are you
I'm-
saying Social Security in general?
Social Security Disability and SSI.
What about
I'm
Social
saying
Security
this is not
retirement?
my opinion. This is what you're hearing.
You
They're-
mean
they're
the head
trying-
of Doge saying that Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, why-
Yeah, well,
what's the
if that's isn't it the goal, right? You make it more difficult so people give up. You make it more difficult so people don't get approved. You make it more difficult because there's less people to talk
Right, so-
to.
so you
That's
ma-
the
you're-
goal of the government right now.
Well, but is the goal of that government as to the disability claim, which the Social Security disability claim, just like your Social Security retirement, you pay for
Correct.
out of your paycheck?
They want to cut everything.
Well, do they, or is it more focused on SSI?
No, I think it's on everything. I think
I
part
don't
of it
see
is
I don't see them really advocating to cut the Social Security benefit, but they're talking about the fund running out in 2035 or whatever it is. So they're either going to have to raise payroll taxes or raise the date for you and you and you to retire.
well, see, so what they're talking about with the Ponzi scheme is
That could hurt me. I'm already
they didn't fully
collecting.
appreciate what happened is that people are living a lot longer than they anticipated, and you've got baby boomers, so you've got a lot more of an aging population, and that's
More-
the problem
more are
with,
collecting than are paying.
with funding
Right,
it.
and you
So
have a
that's where it is.
small-
It's
you
not
have
a
a smaller
Ponzi scheme per
workforce.
se, but that's the
Is
problem you
that
have
what
to
he's?
figure
Is
out.
that why he's calling it a Ponzi scheme? Is that the?
Well,
premise
I
of the-
think
Yeah.
that's
the
alluding to.
analogy is you've got new payers, the working force, paying in so that the original payers, the older people in the system, take the money out,
Yeah,
which
but
is
they're
what
the ones-
Social Security is. But that's
but
what
they
a
paid
Ponzi
in-
scheme
They
does.
paid in too.
I mean,
Well-
in a sense, a Ponzi scheme is you're selling this thing.
You keep selling
and
more
you're-
to cover the
cover-
shortfall on the other. Yeah. Okay. There's
an
a logical
analogy.
thread there.
There's
yeah.
an analogy to it, but it's not. A
So
Ponzi
anyway,
scheme.
the bottom line is it's a scary thing. Just like every other department, is there some fat? Of course there is. We don't know what
How
the
many
impact.
how many Social Security workers are there? Do you know?
There's thousands. Every state has local offices throughout.
All right. Let's take a break, and we'll come back, and then we'll tackle the question that we started with.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If your loved one is struggling with age-related issues, let our family help your family. Call Samasco Law now. We're family-owned and growing. Meet Joe Frizzard and Kelsey Samasco, our newest superstars. We'll handle your issues with care, compassion, and dedication. At Samasco Law, we'll leave no stone unturned until your family is protected for the long term. We'll walk together. That's what families do. Samasco Law. Protect what matters.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, It's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Okay, so this whole conversation is giving me anxiety, so that comes back to my question. The anxiety, first of all, debt problems. Do we all agree that debt problems can lead to anxiety and depression?
We
absolutely.
absolutely do. Before we get into that, I just have one more question for you.
Sure.
So, if all of this is happening, right, and there's less people helping, doesn't it make it all that more important to find good counsel to assist you that can push through the red tape? I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, I can just apply for Social Security disability on my own."
Anybody got a piece of paper with sticky tape on it on the back? Do you have that? Do you know what I mean? Like something I can put in there and said,
No,
but
I'm
commercial
saying, yeah. So what? No, that's not-
advertising.
Stop. It's the point. Is that if you are going to start thinking about doing this on your own now, you're going to face more barriers, and it's better to have a professional assist you.
For myself, not only do I agree, but the amount of more work that I've been doing lately, not just the ordinary where I'm handling a claim, soup to nuts,
for you.
to get it to a hearing where you absolutely do need an attorney, but all the ancillary stuff of making some calls or helping them fill out forms or giving them advice as to what to do is becoming much more of my practice now because of that and because of the unknown, and it's only going to increase.
And
because
will
of
it
that.
then translate to even when you succeed on a claim, instead of the checks coming in 30 or 60 days once you finally got it, is that going to become 120 to 180 days? And are you going to be calling us up saying, I haven't gotten a check in 7 months?
That's part. That is
It's
part
all
of my
out there.
practice, and
Is
it's
that
been
part of that
already.
emoji?
Is winning the case, and then they're still working on some issues, or they're not. They just kind of falls through the crack. I'm having to make these phone calls to payment centers.
So
to do
all in
whatever.
all, not a happy time.
Correct.
So maybe you're going to have the anxiety.
Yes, but
So
not as
maybe
much as
you'll
my
become-
unfortunate
So that goes
clients.
to my question. Can anxiety over debt and other issues lead to a disability qualified for collecting Social Security disability?
Absolutely can. Obviously, it needs to be addressed through professionals. It's not just a matter of, oh, I'm stressed out, I just can't work. It still needs to be properly addressed. Those people who do have those problems, and there are those people that do have
I mean,
those
you're
problems.
clinically described with depression, and the doctor says you
Typically,
can't work.
you go to your primary care doctor, which typically what you would do is you go to primary care. They may or may not prescribe you medication, but more importantly is they're the ones that will get you to the help that you need, and a combination of that will provide evidence to show
What
that.
kind of frequency have you seen depression, quote unquote, type disability claims over the years?
Just depression, a lot.
A lot?
But financial, a lot of times though, people, it's a combination of financial, family issues, things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean,
But financial is certainly a key component, and with all of my clients, even if their original disability didn't start because of
It
depression,
becomes, yeah.
physical injuries, becomes because they're not working, they have no money, they have family issues, they have all kinds of issues that now come with them not working. And not
Yeah, I
having
mean,
money.
it's like, in some respects, it's door A and door B. Door A is if you've got big debt problems, that door is right away. You open that door, it's full of anxiety and could lead to a tunnel to depression. Door B is you're happy and you're going about your life, but you have an accident. You go through door B and you're disabled, and then while you're going down that tunnel of your disability, you no longer have any income. Your credit card companies are calling you like crazy. So you've got the pressure of being disabled, you've got the anxiety of your debt problem, and then you end up depressed.
So if you're
Not a
in
good
that
thing.
situation where that occurs, does the exacerbation with the of the situation with the depression and the anxiety, for lack of better word, help you get approved for your disability, or do they focus it only on the disability
injury.
that occurred based on the injury?
Everything. Everything counts. So unlike a workers' compensation claim where you're focusing on the work injury and that's all you can focus on, Social Security, it's everything. Everything physical, psychological, systemic, anything that's wrong with you is fair game. Even if it only prevents you from doing one job or you just need to take one medication that may have a side effect, any and all problems, physical, emotional, systemic, are all fair game. So it does add to the claim, and yes, if it started out of a physical claim, but you can establish evidence of the psychological problems and can establish that the problem itself limits them, or the side effects of medications they're taking for, which happens all the time, limits them, then that's fair game as part of it. So yes, you look at everything.
So let's talk about people that have debt problems. I kind of went online and took a look. The leading category for debt problems right now are the Generation Xers. So that's born in 65 to 1980.
That's us.
Anybody here?
That's us.
It's not me. Okay. Next comes the Millennials from 81 to 96. That's my kids. Your
So
kids?
you know the question
Yeah, it's
within
my
that
kids.
that
And then
generation.
the Boomers. That's where I come in.
What type of debt problems? Is it different for Gen X than it is for millennials than baby boomers? I would think it might be.
Well, the dominant, and these numbers that I pulled, the dominant number of the debt is relative to the mortgage, and then after that, but if you look at the Business Insider, actually July of 2024, the peak time for debt for people is between 40 and 49. The auto debt was back then 1.61 trillion. The credit card debt was 1.15. I'm wondering if the credit card has now jumped over the auto. Because we know that they're both up
They're
since
both
that
up
time.
significantly.
But so yeah, and mortgage debt I wouldn't consider. I don't know what you guys. I don't really consider mortgage debt. It's a lien against your asset because the mortgage is tied to an asset, assuming your house is worth more than the mortgage.
I don't think your average person feels that way, though.
No, but remember it with
You know?
the whole concept of the 3-point retirement plan, having no debt, having your home paid in full.
You got to get there.
You know, we're not there, especially if you're talking about baby boomers, which is people that are generally retired.
Let's take a break and we'll come back at this.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Time for announcements. I want to announce THAV GROSS has opened a new office downriver in the Horizon building on Eureka Road. So now we're in Flint, downriver, and also our home office in Bingham Farms. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. You can do it by Zoom conference, in the office, any way that works best for you. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website, thavgross.com, to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat or Kelsey, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Again, sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com or just call 888-235-HELP. Also, if you go to the website, you'll see there's free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Simasko. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV Gross, Simasko Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
So, how old should your grandsons be before they can spend their inheritance on their own?
Thanks, Grandma. Yeah, thanks, Grandma. This car's awesome. Thanks, Grandpa. We got 2.
35. You've worked hard your whole life to create a lasting legacy for your heirs. Let Simasko Law help you make the right decisions to protect the ones you love. Simasko Law, protecting what means most, because that's what we do.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. So we got anxiety, we got debt. What do we do about these problems?
Well, I think, Ken, you said something before about how you felt about mortgages and things. I don't think the majority of people feel the same way because you have experience in training on how to handle debt and tactics and how to get out of things. I think most people view the mortgage as it's a debt, it's something I owe, and it's the biggest debt for most people. And when they have pressure and income things, I think they look at it from the anxiety perspective, not in the, it's not a big deal. I know how to handle it if something happens.
No, I would agree with you. In fact, even with the fact of, from my perspective, which migrated over time because I'm hooked on the 3-point retirement plan and having zero debt, I view all debt with anxiety, horrendous anxiety now, because I finally accomplished the goal of getting rid of debt, and the level of peace and satisfaction that comes with it is very difficult for me to describe, but I'm going to tell you, it is really great. Once you get there, if you then are faced with the idea of having some debt, that's a whole anxiety factor. Like, when I get a bill now, he's going to laugh because he's always been the same. When I get a bill now, I pay it within 2 days because I can't stand putting it in my drawer. In the old days, I would mark a little number in the corner of the due date, and I'd know that I had to pay it the weekend before that due date. But God forbid I gave them my money early, as long as I wasn't paying any interest on it. I wanted to wait. Now I don't even want to wait. I don't want the bill. So I completely agree with your point.
I've trained you well.
Yeah, because I remember years ago you saying that, and I said to myself, I think it was on the show, I said to myself, that guy is weird. Yeah.
Well, he still says that.
But your weirdo-ness apparently has infiltrated me.
Has some benefit.
For a good thing. So what do we do about it? If it's disability, you file a claim.
Absolutely.
We go to Jeff. Okay, that takes care of getting qualified for disability so that you can get some money. It doesn't eliminate the anxiety. But
Correct,
money will help.
and it does take some time, but at least get the process started. And with all the craziness going on, I do implore people to if they're on the fence of doing it, let's start the process now.
So you either have a client who's disabled with too much debt and he has no income to pay it, or you have the client that has too much debt and is unable to pay it, but he's not yet clinically filing for disability because he doesn't meet the thresholds of having that level of depression. What do you do?
We have multiple solutions. I mean, we're going to examine the situation, the client's situation, and determine should
Well,
they.
is debt management a way of handling it?
It is.
How do you do debt management
Well,
when you
budget
have no
management.
income?
Well, if you don't have any income, then a bankruptcy is probably your solution, along with recognizing that as long as you're not disabled, finding employment is a strong necessity.
So, but generally speaking, what do you do?
So we examine whether the client has an opportunity to file a Chapter 7 to eliminate their debt, a Chapter 13 to restructure their debt, or budget management, because a lot of people will come in and they're still working and they're bringing in income, but the dollars don't go for as far as they used to because, well, eggs are $6 a dozen now. You know,
Are they really?
The average wholesale price of eggs a couple weeks ago was $6.25.
So
a
have
dozen.
restaurants doubled the cost of an omelet? Has anyone noticed?
I think that restaurants are still absorbing the cost increases.
There was actually a story that Waffle House was charging extra money if you wanted eggs.
A while ago, my pizza place was which I'd get a salad. Remember, lettuce went up like a year ago. They charged a surcharge for on the salads. I'm trying to figure out whether the surcharge went away.
Listen, the one of the more recent inflation factors said that inflation was at 2.8% year over year, yet the price of eggs was up 58% year over year.
So what's the solution on eggs? I have one.
Well, the solution on eggs is
Don't
they
eat
have
them.
to grow more chickens.
Well, my solution is to stop eating eggs.
Okay.
Well, except
is
eggs
that-
are
can you do that?
in so much food production in the United States that it's very difficult
I have
to
a
do
better.
so.
You'll like this one. My solution is no more omelets. I'm just going to have pancakes and waffles.
Well,
Those don't have eggs in them.
pancakes
do they?
usually require eggs.
What about waffles?
I'm pretty sure.
Well,
I guess-
the
but
difference
no,
between
no,
a
anyway,
pancake and a waffle
that's not
is-
gonna work.
is how you
Listen.
cook it.
Okay, I'll just have toast. I'll
Analysis
just have a bagel.
analysis of your financial picture to determine which road
Not
you
an
need
egg
to go
bagel.
down to solve it is important. And if you're headed, if things are already looking bad, don't wait until they're catastrophic.
For sure.
And if you think you need help, don't wait until things are catastrophic.
Can I just ask you one last question?
Yeah.
As we're coming up to the end. Are you going to work in the last 30 seconds the solution is individual to the individual, or did I just work it in for you?
You did that
Just
for
work
me.
it in for him.
All right, so
Why? Why would you do that?
I couldn't resist. I just thought it was coming, and I thought I'd try and jump the shark or whatever that we.
No,
whenever
no.
I misuse that terminology.
Don't be the Fonz, no.
All right, so here's the big question: can you solve the problem?
Yes, absolutely.
And can you solve the problem?
100%.
Okay. So what people need to realize, if you're out there watching, because a lot of people have these problems, don't just live with the problem, take the action to resolve it, because when you resolve it, that's when you start feeling better. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.